Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously. All right, how you guys going? Okay?
Hey, good, mate.
We're just talking about a visit to Dr. Little at Terrigal, mate. So, it brings back fond memories.
Yeah, not me.
All right, so let's start with Meg. What's your wine this week? Who lost last week? No, actually, we didn't do it because
Last week, out of respect.
For Nick.
A competition. I bought a bottle of Marsanne this week.
What?
It's a Savannah Marsanne.
Is it Californian wine?
No,
Oh.
What is a Marsanne?
it's a white wine.
Oh, really?
He's
It's
a mime
similar-
artist. Marcin Marceau.
It's similar, like wax on, wax off. It's similar to a Chardonnay, but it's a little bit oakier.
Oh, wow.
Oh, more wood. Can't get enough.
Oaky/perry.
Oh, well, we're going to see. We're going to see. Show us a bottle.
What did it rate?
Hey, we'll wait and see.
Oh, we're not telling.
Marsanne. Okay. All right. Good to know.
Marsanne.
Good story. Chriso, what'd you get from the garage this week, son?
Special from the garage. I got it's called Bunnamagoo. It comes
Oh,
from
Bunnamagoo. It's a Mudgee
Bunnamagoo.
wine.
Mudgee, that's it.
Mudgee.
Yeah. So
Well, you're
I've actually
disqualified.
put it in-
Because we've had it before.
Seriously, if I can get disqualified for all the wines we've had before, I wouldn't be able to find a wine we haven't had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but which
Seriously?
one though?
Which
Have you
one?
had the exact same
Which one
one?
do you have now? Show
Yeah, I
me.
did, because I bought a few of them. This is from the cellar, so I've had it in there for a while.
Oh, okay.
We have had it before ages ago. But, mate, it doesn't rate high on Vivino, so I'm not too fast. It's a nice wine. I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh,
What
I
type
didn't even try.
What type of wine was it, Chris?
It's a Cab Sav, 2016 Cab Sav.
Wow, nice.
My brother likes that winery.
Yeah, it's a nice winery. It's a little bit different to most Cab Savs, a little bit more fruity than most Cab Savs, but it's a full bodied wine, which is nice part of Mudgee.
What did you
Thomas?
bring, Sam?
No, Thomas.
Oh, he's going.
I
Instagram
got
highlights.
a Geoff Merrill Reserve Cab Sav 2013 for this week.
2013.
Probably the winner for the week.
Under $50. 2013, under $50.
Yeah, and so the wine, it's got grapes from two regions. So the McLaren Vale's got 53%, and the rest is coming from Coonawarra. So we will see. I've been told to pay attention to Cam this week because apparently his is a killer. So we will see.
All right.
That was mine. How about you, man?
Well, if I don't win anything else this week, I win the best name competition because I have a 2017 Slurpy Puppy
It's Slurpy.
from Pirate Cru Wines. It's a GSM, a Grenache Shiraz Matano. It's from the Barossa Valley. And I actually found it by accident. They're a small independent seller who the guy at Oldfield Cellars in West Gosford was quite high on, but I actually found it by accident because I'd been through all the premium shelves trying to beat you guys, and I had 4 wines up on the counter ready to buy, and then I thought, shit, apparently I owe you pricks a bottle of wine for losing 3 weeks in a row. So I went to the cheap shelves, as I should, and I thought, that's got a cool label, and it's called Slurpy Puppy, so I'll get him a bottle of that. And then I took the photo and got it on Vivino, and you guys are dead in the water. I guarantee I've got the highest score for $20 in Australian Rugby League history. So it comes from the Barossa Valley. Only a very small winery. They only do about 2,000 cases a year. And I reckon after today, they're going to have more than the 400 followers they got on Instagram because it.
Yeah, which by the way, reminds me, we're probably going to be advertising it a bit later on our Wine and Wisdom Facebook. but Keys Wine, Keys, Kies Wines, they have kindly sponsored us with a few bottles, and so we are going to be drinking their wine next week. So two of the wines that we are going to be drinking is going to be this one here, who's won quite a few awards. So that's the Merlot they have, the monkey nut tree. So it's a monkey nut tree. And then the other one is the Chef Mill Cab Sauv. All right.
2015.
So that's going to be something pretty good for us to try next week. The people who want to try with us, well, get yourself ready. You can order, and they send you 1 bottle, 16 bottles, doesn't matter. They'll send you the bottles. All right.
Okay. Can we have the ratings, please?
I'm still waiting, man. I'm still waiting. Chances are they're going to have it's going to take them a bit more time to make sure that there's no cheating. So it's checking.
There was no cheating, I promise.
So what's happening? So what's happening this week, mate? By the way, let's start with this thing, Chris. Your dad's funeral last week, Nick's, who loves his McWilliams Red. Now, how was it? Because the church was empty on one side. They wanted to make sure that was just for the people who were probably working, but you guys were on the other side. So how different did it feel like you were at the funeral?
It did. It very much felt like we're at Dad's funeral. It did feel very strange, very unusual to what we're used to. I mean, when we buried Mum, we had a huge church, and their local church had standing room only. There would have been 350 odd people there for Mum's funeral. Some of you guys were there to support me on that day, and Dad's would have been the same, but it was just very unfortunate that we couldn't do it that way. And the beautiful thing was that the funeral home was very accommodating to our requirements, very empathetic to not only the fact that we had lost someone, the fact that we couldn't have support around us and so forth. So yeah, very different, a difficult time, but very different. But we made the most of a difficult situation.
Right. Well, we haven't cheersed our wine, so let's have another cheers to Nick.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Cheers to you, Chriso.
Thanks, guys.
So I've been pretty busy this week with a lot of things on the internet and all of our programs. So who's been following the news? What's the goal? Are we at 1,000 yet?
Yeah, we did. We beat it today. Well done, everybody. 1,029 cases. You've outdone yourself, New South Wales. That's why we'll always beat Queensland in the state of origin. I'm a little bit. It's sad, man. It's sad.
I'm
a little bit disappointed. We spoke last week about what's going on in Afghanistan, and it just shows how quickly the news cycle works. That it's no longer. We've only been 7 days, and it's no longer front of mind, front of newspaper, front of anything. You can obviously find news about it, but I noticed the other day when we were watching one of the news channels that it was buried 40 minutes deep, and I think that's a shame. And I think it's something that needs to be in people's minds, because it's horrific what's going on over there and horrific what the leaders have done. I want to big shout out to my friend Gladys today for giving us our well-earned present for 6 million vaccinations, which is from September 13th. If you're double vaccinated, you'll be able to go within 5 kilometres of your own home and hang out in a park with 4 other people who are double vaccinated. So thank you so much. We really appreciate everything you've done for us. I'd just like to give you the well wishes of all of New South Wales and say thank you so much, Premier. You've done such a great job. Apart, hasn't been a lot else in the news that I've seen, guys.
Oh, well, then what have you got, Chris?
Oh, look, going on, if we're going to talk about COVID, we'll stick on there for a while. But
I didn't mention COVID, mate.
Oh, the lockdown. There's a lockdown. The COVID. Well, you did. The cases have come out 1,000 and what was it? 48. Cam. You know the figure dead on. you know, like your calorie count.
We break 1,000. Get in there.
The thing I think a lot of us neglect to realise is the amount of people that are actually going to hospital per day that with positive COVID tests that need care. The hospitals are taking in on average 40 people a day. I know for a fact that RPA has opened up 4 separate wards just for COVID patients. And a lot of those hospitals, the staff are actually even, they're finding it hard to staff those hospitals. So now we've got our frontline workers not only working with COVID patients, but they're working extra shifts and long shifts and so forth. Even paramedics working, 16, 17-hour shifts to meet the demand of what's happening within with this pandemic.
I heard yesterday, and it was third-party information, so we can fact-check it and see if it's true, but someone with a connection to Westmead Hospitals told me that Westmead had declared an internal emergency, which is reserved for the times that they're running out of beds, and that had happened the day before. So 2 days ago in Westmead, they were running out of beds for patients in general. So
this time last year, RPA was running 1 ward. I think sometimes they got up to 1.5 wards for COVID patients. They're now running 4. From what I understand, it's fairly first-hand information. From what I understand, they're running 4 wards for COVID patients. These wards previously were empty, so they've never had the staff to man these wards. Now, I mean, they've had the beds and obviously the infrastructure, but not the staffing. So on top of that, to compound the fact that you've got staff members that have to take time off because if they've had a positive test, now they've got to go themselves into isolation and so forth. So it's pretty hard. I mean, just for these frontline workers, they're being spread very thin. And I think the quality of care for general hospitalizations are going to thin out because you can't have that many staff being run all over the place and giving the level of care that's needed.
Yeah, well, this kind of talk, I think we're going to reserve it to our Stig. We're going to have our Stig up on a bit later on. He can talk to us a little bit about this. But I want to talk a little bit about the, maybe not, I don't like the word mental health because it means there's something wrong with this, but one of the things I noticed with many of our staff is how they're not talking about, they're not saying it, but they're starting to run down a little bit, working from home, sometimes alone. Sometimes they're also worried and anxious because their children screaming and wanting to have a bit of their attention because they can't really be looked after or entertained with school. And I just don't know. I think that we are forgetting those people who are working. I've done a bit of training this last week, and one of the biggest things that I said to these guys, and it's a simple thing, but it doesn't really happen naturally, was that I said to them, listen guys, you're gonna have to dress as if you were going to work. You're coming on the training with me, and you got a t-shirt. I mean, one even turned up with one of those things, what is it, how do you call it? There's no...
England, mate.
Yes, no sleeves, and I'm thinking, mate, you can't just get on and do training with a singlet. We're in sales. That's good if you're going to go to the gym, right? And then so people are still not getting all that kind of help. That if you're going to be working from home, make sure that your sanity is right. And to make sure your sanity is right, ladies, do your hair up. I mean, look like you're going to visit a client, because you will feel and think like a professional. And that's already a good start, because in the end, it's all mental.
It's no coincidence that this week, or since we last spoke, Lifeline had its highest number of calls in its 57-year history. And you say it's something we're forgetting in our business. I think it's something we're forgetting in the entire scheme of everything that's going on. It's been one of the biggest things that, for all this vaccination, anti-vaccination, pro-lockdown, anti-lockdown shit that we're going on with, we're forgetting the effect it's having on people. And it's more than just getting dressed for work. It's a great tip. If you're working from home, get dressed for work, but it's so much more than that. There's parents struggling with homeschooling kids. There's people struggling in being in the same company as other people for as long as I have been. To have in 57 years at Lifeline to break the record for the number of calls. And they didn't just break it. I don't have the numbers, so I don't want to quote numbers, but they broke it by a long way, We're digging a hole for ourselves. It's going to take quite some time to get out of.
Yeah.
So what are we doing for those around us then to be checking in on people at the moment? Like, what are we on this screen doing for our teams, our family, our friends to check in on them?
Well, apart from the problem with the lockdown is, apart from a phone call and apart from a Zoom, there's very little you can do. I mean, the present we got today that people who are vaccinated can hang out with themselves as long as they're only 5 kilometers from home. I mean, that's not fucking helping anybody. I can't go and see my mum. Right?
To answer your question, Megan, the people who are watching this, we're not helping them. So the people who are not watching this, we're helping them. So because
stop watching, feel better about yourself.
we say that we're about wine and wisdom, but we're actually about wine and no wisdom.
Yeah, but if we're going to sit here and talk about depressing stuff, then we're just depressing people that are watching it. So.
Yeah, no. So I think it's not about depressing people. I think it's about helping. For example, one of the things that I have done is I spoke to a friend of mine. I spoke to his son because he had a bit of trouble with his son. So via Zoom, I took the time to sit down and talk to the kid. And so I think people are forgetting that, Zoom is actually allowing us to do some of those things that, okay, we used to do it before where we would sit down with the kid, maybe, on a lounge, but we can still do these kind of things. But people need to reach out. We just read rule number 3 of a book by Jordan Peterson. And really, there's 2 things. First of all, the person who's helping, you got to have to ask yourself, why are those people in that kind of trouble before you help? Okay, but the other side is sometimes the other person, do they want help? And so that's the bit that people need to be doing. So we can't listen. We can help a lot of people, but we don't know who's in trouble. We still don't have that crystal ball. I've ordered one. Everyone at Wine and Wisdom will be receiving a crystal ball very soon.
Cool.
So we will know very soon which street in which suburb someone is in trouble. But it's not even that. The purpose, I think, of what we're doing is to raise that consciousness, even in our own little group, that the person who's working alongside you may not say much, but they have troubles. And so are you making that phone call just to find out a little bit about them? Are you making sure that someone in your team is talking to them? I hear people who are asking for time off or saying to their leader, oh man, I need to work from home because I'm a bit scared of going to the area, because and all they get is, no, you can't be, you have to go work, this is how it's going to be because I'm losing money. And I'm thinking, it's not about you, it's about them. They've got some fear. It's not their fault if all day long the news is bombarding them with crap and they getting it. What is it that you're doing at work in order to do this? What we're doing here is to raise that consciousness, but that shouldn't stop here. It's what about people who are listening to this, telling others? That's what's going to change.
I think that's the point, Megs. Like, we can sit here and talk positive stuff all day. There's a lot of positive stuff going on, the Paralympics and whatever else. But a lot of the people that listen to this or watch this, God bless their souls, have pretty strong opinions about what's going on in the world. Unless we keep mentioning the fact that there are actually people struggling and creating that awareness, there isn't going to be any change. Now,
I agree. There's people struggling 100%. I don't disagree with that at all.
No, I know, but you're saying by talking about depressing topics, we're depressing people further. No, we're creating an awareness, right? So
I'm saying, like, if we're going to talk about the things that people are struggling with, what can the people that are struggling, like, what can they do for themselves, or what can we do for them to help them?
They can reach out, but the problem is all the do-gooders and all the people that want to help are too inclined to just, and I say want to help, to write a status on Facebook saying, if anyone needs to talk, I'm here, because that clears their conscience for, are you okay, and the rest. We need to be checking in with people. We need to be asking hard questions and uncomfortable questions. It's not easy to really ask someone if they're okay. It's like, oh, how you doing? Is not asking someone, are you really okay?
Yeah.
And that's the bit that people are missing. That's the bit there's so much struggle out there. We're still employed. We're still employed.
Yeah. No, but the little things that we're doing. For example, last week I sent my staff a pack of fruit. What is it? A gift wrap, a basket of fruit. Some had wine, some don't drink, so we didn't have to put wine in it. And so it's just an opportunity, you know. And I think that these are some of the little things that maybe you can do. But you have to ask yourself the question: are we doing this? Well, I see a lot of business owners for the moment. What are they interested in? Things like, oh man, I've got my staff working from home. I'm not sure they're working. How do I check that they work? I mean, what kind of question have you got? If you have to question whether your team's working, you got the wrong team with you. And from the book that we just read, chapter 3, rule number 3, if you're asking that question, chances are you actually not doing much. And because you're not doing much, the world is your reflection. You now have to see in the world what it is that is happening in you.
How about we check if people are okay before we check if people are working?
You know, in my circle of friends, and we're lucky that a lot of our friends aren't too far from our doorstep. I mean, it's funny, all the kids have got into a habit of making cupcakes and cookies for each other, and we're dropping off the occasional meal. A friend sent me a hamper last week with a bottle of wine and some chocolates after Dad passed away and so forth. And those little things, they just make that little spark of, you know, happiness in the day for a lot of people. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to get the kids together and cook some cookies or some cupcakes or whatever, or bake a meal that you're good at and drop it off at someone's door. They might like it, they might not, but it's as long as it might bring a smile to their face.
We had a friend. We had a friend during the week. Crystal had finally decided to cook me steak, which is a rare occurrence in the Wilson household. But
cook yourself your steak, you bludger.
I didn't get my steak because someone knocked on the door, and here comes this feast from Red Rooster, chicken and peas and everything else, because one of Crystal's friends had known that she'd been sick for the week and that we were doing it.
Yeah, I think that the community themselves can do a lot of things, Megan, because we're talking about like help, and I think it's obviously subject of today, but a lot of people can do a lot of things, you know. I mean, I was very, before the hard lockdown, I was very fortunate, but Monica, one of our staff, jumped in the car and drove to our place to give me my present. It was from the team, and it was so nice. And a few weeks later, they went, no, you can't do this anymore. And I think, you know, even I just read here that the twins made brownies to give to neighbors. I think you have to do a minimum without expecting anything in return. A lot of people are doing it for likes or do something without expectation. I am sick and tired of people exploiting help for business purpose. You need to just do it for the sake of doing it. I mean, how many of us really have gone to the restaurant in our area and said, hey, listen, guys, why don't we just put your business together and let's organize a letterbox drop, or I've got a channel and we can get that happening so that the entire neighborhood, the one day each week is buying from you guys, you know, to help your business go and turn. I mean, what is it we're doing? I'm not so sure. People are asking for a lot of things, and then on the other hand, you have idiots who are sitting and spending most of their time complaining about the vaccination and the COVID lockdown and all that stuff. I think they're idiots.
Right? Fight. You got to fight. Hey, the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys. You're too old to know who the Beastie Boys are, but the Beastie Boys had a song that their favourite lyric was, "You got to fight for your right to party." We're going to fight for our right to party, people. We're going to fight.
I don't think that. Meg, and this is probably something that you wanted to make as a point, but in a very diplomatic way, is you can't stop the people I can. He's about we have to fight for our right, and I'm okay with this. We have to fight for our right, but that's going to start getting a lot of people their nose out of joint, because right now I'm starting to see already people saying to real estate agents, unless you're vaccinated, don't come to my place.
Yeah.
Happening already.
That's part of the fight for your right, mate. We all hung on tenterhooks, and Channel 9 had Gladys on Wednesday and said, we've got a live announcement. She's going to give us our present for being good people and getting vaccinated.
You said it already, man.
No, but then she said, no, you know what she did on Wednesday? She said, I've got a great announcement. I'll tell you on Thursday or Friday, right? It's not about me fighting for anything that's not. We're hanging on to these things, and today it comes out she's going to let people who are double vaccinated, which is bugger all people, even the compliant citizens who have gone and got one shot, they're still a month off getting their second shot. So our reward is anyone who's double vaccinated, which is bugger all people, gets to talk to other people who are double vaccinated. You have to fight for your right. It's not about me. We had a conversation before, Thomas, where we know for us to carry on with our lives, we're going to have to get vaccinated. That's just a fact. Is it a good fact, though? God, no. We know that if we ever want to visit a pub or a relative or anyone again, we have to get vaccinated because the people that are telling us we have to, they've made the rules. That's not a good place to be in. It's not something to be celebrated.
I agree with you, mate. I agree with you, but never in my lifetime has a hospital have 4 wards dedicated to one disease.
That's all right, mate. But
that's the issue, mate.
The restrictions, the restrictions that are being put on us. We joked today. Am I going to need a vaccine passport to go and have a barbecue at Thomas's house? Yes. Yes,
no,
I am.
No, you don't have to because you just come through the creek.
Anyway.
You just come through the creek and you stay down the creek.
By the law. This isn't freedom. This isn't we have to do what we've got to do. We've all got to bond together for the greater good because we all bonded together to get 6 million jabs. And what did we get out of it? Fuck all, right? We got nothing out of it. The regional lockdown got extended for another 10 days. Everyone who thought, the Central Coast is a region now, we're not locked in with Greater Sydney. Congratulations, we're still locked down until bloody the start of September.
Calm down, man. Calm down. Calm down.
Blood pressure's going up, mate.
Yeah, the way you're going, you're probably going to die from a heart attack before COVID gets to you, mate.
My wife wants to get vaccinated. She can't get vaccinated because she's too healthy. I jump on there and say, blah, 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 blah. They go, you're not qualified. So then I lied and said I'm fat and I've got a blood pressure issue. All of a sudden I qualify and I can get vaccinated.
Because you are fat.
I am fat. We
No,
all have to get vaccinated. We all have to do
you're not fat.
I can't do it.
You're not fat. You're fine.
I'm obese. I'm morbidly obese for this purpose of getting Pfizer so I can talk to another human being again.
All right. So now you see, you've got an outlet. Every week you can come up here and speak up your mind. But how many people don't have that? And this is I think this is why I'm very happy you're holding the mic for them. Okay? So you speaking for that side. Me, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have a look at what the government's trying to do, and I'm cool with what they're trying to do. I know also that the jab doesn't have those kind of consequences you're thinking. And by the way, they're not injecting any kind of microchip to know where you are or to control you. There's none of that happening. And by the way, there is no third arm starting to grow off my chest. None of that's happening. Okay, so. But the biggest thing that you need to do is to then be respectful for the people who are going to say things like, you're not vaccinated, don't come in because we're scared. Why? And if I think that's the bit that is getting lost out of this. And I'm trying to make sure our group is getting that. It's okay to disagree. On every issue, we're going to disagree. There are people still today who believe we never landed on the moon. There are still people today who believe that the earth is really flat. There's plenty of believers of everything, right? And there's guys behind those kind of ventures who are making money out of those beliefs. It's cool. But we need to do it in a respectful way.
Yeah. What's more dangerous is I'm walking into houses every day where the people are saying, you can take your mask off because I'm vaccinated and it doesn't matter. That is way more dangerous because because we know vaccinated doesn't mean you can't get COVID and doesn't mean you can't die. Right. So that is the danger of what's going on. And that is the stuff that I rail so hard against. It's not about microchips and all that sort of stuff. That's not what I'm about. It's about people are being led down a path with beliefs that just aren't true. How can someone say to me, you don't have to wear a mask because I'm double vaccinated, when we know for a fact that you can still get COVID when you're vaccinated?
The chances are, though, Ken, if you're vaccinated and you do catch COVID, the severity is 200 times less severe, mate.
That's all right.
The only time when it's usually like someone has a fatality after they've been double vaccinated is when they're extremely old. And that's only cases at the moment. So those are the people who are dying at 30, 20, 30, 40. Those lives could have been saved.
They're not dying from COVID, brother.
Sorry?
They're not dying from COVID, mate.
Well,
they had it.
So, Meg, what are you doing to help your neighborhood?
Heaps of stuff.
All right, tell us. Yeah, because I can see we're not going to go anywhere here. This is this kind of war is like, it's like talking about religion now, right? Politics, religion, all that kind of stuff, and COVID. So, what are we doing?
Turn the wine into water. Water into wine. Let's go.
Wine in the bubblers. No, like just trying to do stuff within the limits of what we're allowed to. Like, you know, you're out the front and you see your neighbor, having a chat to them, you know, from across the street or whatever. Like within our street, there's lots of kids. Mr. Whippy came through last week, and even he said, like, I'm driving around, I'm just trying to put smiles on people's faces. And we literally had, like, probably not like against the law at the moment, but there was probably about 15 kids, like 3 or 4 parents. Everyone was hovering around this Mr. Whippy van because it was like, you know, you could hear him coming around and all the kids were so excited, and that was a really nice thing. And I don't know, I think it's just about, like, yeah, there's people that are like, I don't disagree with all of the things that Cam's saying, because everyone is confused. I think the general consensus from the people that I'm talking to is that they're confused about life, they're confused about the vaccine, they're confused about lockdown and when it's going to end and all of the rest of it. And people are just doing what they need to do to get by at the moment. You know, there's lots of people that have never had to spend as much time with their family as what they are right now. And I don't know, I think it's less about actually wallowing in the fact of the drama and the negativity that's in the news, and more about looking at, okay, I understand that there's people that aren't going to get vaccinated. I understand there's people that are, and personal choice, totally up to you. Doesn't matter either way what you do. But aside from that, how do we keep people's morale up? How do we keep people having a bit of fun? Like, I've got, like, mum and dad are away. I've mentioned it before, but every time they travel from one place to a different place, they upload a video of themselves singing a song, and it's, you know, funny lyrics about where they're going and what they've been doing. And that's something simple that they're doing to kind of entertain people back home. Another friend has just started.
Can you get them up on this channel for them to sing a song for us?
Yeah, I'll get them on.
Yeah, well, maybe you should. Hey, you should have a look at that. Yeah.
Another friend's just started updating, like, a Carl Barron ripoff on Facebook, where you, like, you know, it's the same person, but you're having a conversation with yourself and it's just a quirky joke.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I think that one is sick. There's a condition for that.
But everyone's doing their bit. Like, I know a few businesses around here that do, like, you know, cupcakes, or they do grazing boxes or macarons, whatever. And all of them are run off their feet with people literally, like, just trying to share the love, like people trying to make someone's birthday special or trying to cheer someone's day up just because we're in lockdown. They have never been so busy. Like, normally they might be busy, but now they're taking orders. Like, this one site that I went on, I thought, oh yeah, that's a cool thing. I might just go on and order some of these, like, donut things. She's like 10 days in advance with orders. I can't get a delivery off her for 2 weeks. And normally you could just walk into her shop and buy them, where you could get them easily the next day. So I think there's a lot of people out there doing good for each other and genuinely trying to, like help their friends and their community out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Megs, in your team, you're a part of quite a large team. I know that your team, you Zoom every day. It's a Zoom in every morning?
Yeah, 9 o'clock every day we do a Zoom with the whole team. So there's like 50 odd faces on the screen each day.
Is that only for like setting production for the day, or is it more of a welfare check for the team that early of a morning?
Yeah, it's just at the start of like lockdown, it sort of was more about just, well, it was a bit of everything, but it was around the grounds of results, like where the sales team's at, where the property management team's at, marketing, all of that. But now it's become a bit of a like just a social thing. We've got like each day someone different has to bring a video clip that motivates them, and it could be like a typical motivation speech, or it just could be something totally left of field. Like one of the girls the other day just brought this video. It was of her and her sisters just always scaring her mum. So they'd have like their phone out and they just jump out and like scare their mum doing all this stuff. And so that was really funny.
I love scaring people. I reckon it's so funny, but anyway.
Yeah, it's just like, we're trying to just mix it up all the time. Like today I started just a 10 questions for the person that brought the video. So it was like, you know, what'd you have for breakfast today? And what's something that you're scared of? Where's somewhere interesting that you've traveled to? Just like random questions that just keep, I don't know, it's more about just trying to keep people feeling like they're part of something bigger, because we are all apart at the moment. Some of us are in the office here or there, but for the most part, people are separate, and it's just trying to keep that feeling of connection and community while it's not there.
Yeah. While we're forced to doing certain things, we have to try and, you know, achieve something positive, you know?
This has just come across the news desk.
Here you go.
From Domain, house prices to jump over 20% with future growth next year per ANZ Bank. Discuss.
Yeah, that was one that I heard a few weeks ago. Actually, they projected that the real estate market, like prices were going to go up 20% between now and the end of 2020. What are we in? The end of 2022. So within the next 18 months, we're going to see a 20% increase on prices.
Right. So that's the headline. Thank you. But what do we think?
It's not what do we think. I mean, because what do we think is we're just gambling.
Yeah, well, it's gamble.
I'm gonna go against it.
I'm against.
So let's have a two panel. We have a panel for against and a panel for for. So who's gonna go for the for? So okay, Chris and Meg. So why do you think it's gonna happen?
No, Thomas and Meg. How about that?
So you're gonna go for for or against?
No, I'm for against, man.
Oh, you go for against. All right, I'm gonna go for the for. All right, then Meg and I, we're gonna go for the for. Let's have a look. Well, look at the last lockdown. What happened after last lockdown? It all went up. Why? Because people had plenty of money. They're not spending anything. They're not going anywhere. They can't even go to. Actually, if you want to go to Queensland, apparently now it's best to go overseas, and then from there you enter Queensland. So there's no way that you can really travel or do anything, which means you got surplus of money. That means you can buy things.
Okay. So against, people's wages aren't going up. And for every person that says they're ready to sell now, there's two people that say they're waiting until after COVID. What that means is a flood of properties are going to come on the market. When there's more properties on the market, prices go down, not up. The price can't go another 20%. It's gone 30% this year, which means another 20, we're 50% in a year and a half. I'm a business owner. I haven't paid my people 50% more than they were earning a year ago. Loans can't keep going up. More properties on the market, prices down, not up.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think they're going to go up by 20. I think 20 is a big number, but I definitely think it's going up.
It is going up, but in the next 12 months, the question was, is it going up 20% in the next 12 months? You're on the 4 team.
Yeah, I'm on the 4 team. It's going up.
By 20% in the next 12 months.
I don't know how much. I don't have a crystal ball.
Well,
We've already covered that.
Like I said, ANZ got 50-50 chance. So Megan and I, we're on a panel to say that it's going to go up by 20%.
Righto, Megan. It's going to go up by 20%. Why?
Wait, because...
When do you think interest rates are going to drop?
They're not.
They're going up.
Okay. I don't believe they're going up either.
They already have.
No, but
ANZ's increased their minimum rate to above 2%. Sorry, Westpac, not ANZ.
marginally though. Like we're still.
Well, I'd rather my
way
loan
below.
at 1.989 than 2 point something.
No, I agree with Megan. To get back to 3%, we need 7 interest rate rises, which is unlikely to happen. But the question is, the ANZ Bank's just come out and said prices are going to go another 20% in the next 12 months. Not going to happen. Not possible to happen. Can't happen.
You would have said the same thing 12 months ago when we first went into lockdown and there was no inquiry coming in the door. There was no way you would have said we were sitting here right now with the prices the way they are.
Market was pretty good this time 12 months ago.
No, that's not true. You called me almost in tears, man, and panicking, man.
No. Market changed.
They're talking 18 months though. They're talking end of 2022 for the.
It can't go up another 20%. It can't.
You
Chris, help me out here.
You would have said the same thing this time last
In the
year.
short term, we're not going up. I think in the long term, we will. I think in the long term, a lot of
The
us.
question is the next 12 months. Stop saying
Okay,
if,
no,
what, but.
no.
So where else are people going to spend their money then?
Yeah, but how much
They
more
haven't got
money
it like
can they
last
get?
year. Last year, the government was handing it out. They're not handing it out like they were last year.
I'm talking.
Last year, JobKeeper, Job Seeker, job sit on your ass and do nothing.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you get money for dicks.
Yeah. So if you went for a loan last year, they looked at JobKeeper, Job Seeker, didn't even take it into consideration. It got taken out of the equation and they looked at your actual income.
We're talking 20%, Megan, which means your areas have now caught up to our areas, which means an average house is going to cost you $800,000. 20% means $160,000 on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
People's wages aren't going up. It's well documented that wage growth isn't happening. So loans can't just get bigger because they just can't.
Wage growth just did happen though. 1st of July just went up, award wages.
Yes, they did for real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
No, for politicians.
Politicians have never changed. They only head in one direction. You want to invest in anything, invest in a politician. Can we buy a share in a politician?
We could go on to sports bet. You can bet on a lot of other things.
You guys have not given me one compelling argument how the market can possibly go another 20% in the next 12 months.
We told you, mate, we told you, it only is going to take another 2 months of lockdown. That means a lot more money in surplus. That's going to be invested. Listen, Australians love properties.
Yeah, they do.
Australians believe that property is going to be the gate to freedom.
So why should I sell my house now instead of in 12 months' time when it's going to be 20% better off?
Well, if you can sell now and rent, you'll make money.
How? I've got to buy in at 20% dearer price according to you guys.
Oh, but buy now and then you can sell it in next year.
No, but why would I sell now?
What I think that, you know, this is why the reason we did this exercise is to say that it's a non-stop thing. Okay, here is the thing: when interest rates start to go higher, and yes, Cameron, when wage is not following, but interest rates start to go higher,
We won, Chris.
what is going to happen? That I think that's the bit. But right now, in the next 12 months, probably that, you know, we don't know. And remember, if we were running a business like a bank, aren't we in the business of trying to sell the rates that we want to sell today? Because what rates are we trying to sell? We're going to try and sell either fixed rate, or there was a time, do you remember when they scared people so much and they got bucket loads of people just fixing their rates? Banks are businesses. They know how to use the media and get us to think a certain ways. And this is what people need to really understand. Now, when it comes to investment, there's always good investment at any point in time. And there's going to be people who are going to make money now from buying house now. And there's going to be people who are going to make money when the market's going to start going down. That's part of the deal.
You'll never lose in property. And we had a...
But that is not correct. That is not correct. The people who bought in 1989 and were selling around 1993 were losing money. After 4 or 5 years, it was still below what they bought for. because interest rate hit 17%. I'm not going to say it's going to go there, right? And that just went nuts for people. And I still remember being in West Pennant Hills, going into houses in 1993, 1994, and telling people the value of their home is actually below what they bought it for in 1989.
So short-term strategy, never a safe strategy, but long-term you'll never lose on property, because people who bought in 1989 are now godzillionaires. We had a bet, or not a bet, but we did a podcast just before Christmas last year on what we thought was going to happen with the market. And I think two out of the three thought the market was going to keep going, and 2 out of the 3 were right. I'm just going to say it was Thomas and I, and not Chris. And we're about to come into, we're nearly at September where the election cycles start. So that means that they're not going to let anything happen to the property market. But to do another 20% on top of the 30 that's already been done.
It is possible.
I haven't got the money, bro.
I think it's possible. Do you know, Cam, you just said it. This here is an election year coming up.
Yeah, it is.
And what it means is there's going to be a lot of lies, and there's going to be a lot of promises. Okay? And that's how it's going to happen. And that's part of the deal. Anyway, I'm trying to reach now our Stig, because we want the Stig to come up and talk to us. So let's have a look.
Hello.
Hi, the Stig. How you going?
Very well. Very well. And how is everyone there?
Good to hear from you, Geoff. I've missed you, mate. I couldn't wait to hear from you again. How are you, buddy?
Well, I know that's Cam. And a slight touch of cynicism in your voice.
No, it's just jealousy, mate. He will never be called the Stig. So there's a little bit of jealousy. And remember, we're calling you now the Stig after Top Gear's superstar driver, right? So he's all dressed in white. Nobody will ever know who he is. But his ability to drive kills everyone who presented in Top Gear. And so it's the same thing for you. Nobody will know really your identity, but your knowledge when it comes to COVID and whatever is happening around here is you can put the 4 of us together will never equal you. That's all. So you're our Stig.
Well, let me add 10 cents to the property. You know, I was just looking at a couple of things myself, and yeah, look, the property market has, I actually heard this, that over the last 10 years, the property has grown 10% above the 10-year linear average. Now, that's quite remarkable. It's in the last year, but in the last year, it's actually grown at 18%. I was just reading through some, and that was according to Domain.
You must live in a poor suburb, mate, because we've grown 30% in mine.
Sydney and Melbourne. The other thing which is interesting is that I also look at, you know, the cost of money, and the cost of money at the moment is incredibly cheap. So that's why people will be going out and investing.
Call money the Christianola.
Too, the economy, you know, I do have a lot of empathy for a lot of the small businesses that are really hurting and going bust.
Yeah.
But the overall economy is booming. You know, you just look at the simple stock exchange, the All Ordinaries. It's 10 points above its highest before the COVID plunge.
So that's people, Geoff, who can afford.
It's going very well.
Yeah, the people who can afford stocks, and the simple companies like Harvey Norman and the rest who are making billions of dollars of profit every year during lockdown. It's a very simplistic view to say that the economy's booming when people who are trying to keep a cafe afloat or keep a restaurant afloat or keep a bar afloat.
And that's why I premised it by saying about the small businesses that are suffering.
Well, and the small businesses are what keep the country afloat, mate. Because the small businesses can't afford new televisions from Harvey Norman if they've gone out of business.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All I'm doing is just pointing out some basic facts.
All right. So The stick. What do you know about COVID this week that we don't know?
Well, I really like Chris's perspective on it, actually.
Aha.
Well,
Yeah,
of course, you're a smart guy, Geoff.
very, very enlightened.
You've never tasted his wine.
So what is his perspective that you're talking about? The hospital beds?
Well, well, Cam was right about the numbers, and
Yeah. Well, he only repeated what he heard this morning.
yeah, I know. I know. I'm
Him can
trying,
Google.
I'm trying to boost his is it ego?
Goodbye, my lover.
Don't boost the ego.
Goodbye, my friend.
All knowledge base. Sorry,
Geoff, you have been the one.
Cam.
It's like filling a full bucket.
But look,
I need to find a new circle of friends.
I did actually speak to a couple of clinicians this week, and they highlighted that hospitals, and I even mentioned it last week, that RPA set up a new ward in relation to the COVID. I've also was advised even yesterday that the emergency departments are just in many hospitals are out of control, especially in the hot sites. The Blacktown, Nepeans, and Westmead. And and there was announced on the news that Westmead has enacted the disaster planning process. What they've done is that they've set up small, demountables,
Right.
just like they do at the schools. And they've set up these demountables to try and stop people going in there, because they want to sort of push them through another thoroughfare, keep them isolated.
Yeah.
And look, hospitals are really struggling, and you can see it in their voices, you can see it in their expressions and their thoughts. They're, a good colleague of mine is like it's been working 16-hour days for the last year. And it's just ridiculous, the current workload that some of the clinicians are under. And, this also goes for lots of the ancillary staff, the paramedical staff, and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, are they being rewarded for these 16 hours a day? Because if they listen to Wine and Wisdom, just tell them that Cam is on it just to stir a little bit of negative thinking. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Okay, but his idea is just there for us to stir a little of this, because, in the end, Cam is commercial.
Well, what I tried to do, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to battle with numbers and that sort of thing. I think you've articulated it quite well.
Mate, I came number 1 in year 8 maths, so I don't need to baffle.
Sorry, what was that, Cam?
No,
I came number 1 in year 8 maths, so you can't baffle me with numbers, all right?
Well,
Yeah, but he only went to school to year 8. That's what he meant.
So what I did, I decided to actually try and investigate the philosophy behind anti-vax.
Yeah.
And so I went to a couple of different major scientific sort of sites that actually are evidence-based. And unfortunately, I couldn't find anything. So then I decided to go to my other sources of information. And of course, I went to YouTube, and I went to, I then went up to a little bit of Google, and then I also went up and looked at the Mullumbimby local newspaper.
Good things happening in Mullumbimby at the moment.
But I think one of the key things that are coming from this, and I think this is a great failure of most of the governments, and I think it's confusion in the communication that we've had. And that puts a lot of fear in a lot of people. There's been a lot of mixed messages about the different vaccines. There's been a lot of, you even talked about man on the moon, the conspiracies associated with that.
Yeah.
And I think that and it's also been quite politicized as well. And I think that's where a lot of the real dramas that are creating the lockdowns, they're unbearable. And I have great empathy for so many people in lockdown. And, I'm in lockdown myself. but it's been very tough on so many people, and it's for people are struggling, and we really need to embrace that.
Yeah.
And
So what's the answer, though,
I
Geoff?
heard from each one of you saying that you're doing something positive in the community.
No, we're only saying it. None of us doing anything positive for the community.
We're doing nothing.
This is more wisdom, mate. Geoff, you don't want to expect too much from us, all right? We're just talking about it.
Well, no, there's always got to be action that follows.
Here's the thing, Geoff. I haven't agreed with
That's
you.
for the next episode, mate.
I haven't agreed with you once yet, Geoff, until you just spoke. The reason I'll be lumped in with the anti-vaxxers is because I don't believe that when a government comes out and says one day no one under 60 should be taking this vaccine, and the next day, literally the next day, they come out and say it's okay for your kids, that's a way of enveloping trust in the community and something we should just follow blindly. So you've been pretty strong on everyone should get vaccinated and everyone should just do their thing. But what's your solution to the mixed messaging? How do you?
The stick is not there to offer solution, all right, unless he wants to. But let me tell you, Geoff, you've got high connection up there that we don't know, and why don't you just offer this solution that as of a certain date, anyone who goes to hospital for COVID, well, it's at their own cost. And if they have family, if their family member goes to hospital and they didn't get the vaccine, it's at their own cost. I think that will save the rest of our population a lot of money. And that will give the people who got the choice, well, if you got COVID and you didn't believe in vaccination, well, stay at home and try and get through. Don't go and waste our time at the hospital unless it is at your own cost.
Don't answer that, Geoff. Don't answer that, Geoff. Does the vaccine stop you going to hospital, Thomas? Does the vaccine stop you going to hospital?
No, but because I'm vaccinated, no problem. Then it will be taken by Medicare and by Bupa.
Megan, what do you reckon?
Geoff?
Yeah, Megan doesn't say much because Megan doesn't like this issue. You see, Megan is the angel in our Wine and Wisdom podcast. You are now the stick, meaning you are our brain. She's our heart. Then we have three idiots. That's how
Thomas, it goes. No, Thomas just asked you a stupid question. I want to hear Megan's answer to it, because what happens if someone who's vaccinated goes to hospital, you goose?
What was the question? What was the question?
He was asking poor Geoff, Geoff, who I get along with every week and agree with everything he says.
You're full of shit.
Now hospital beds are getting filled up with people who aren't vaccinated. What do you say to someone who gets sick and has to go to hospital because they got COVID?
No,
you catch COVID even if you're vaccinated.
They would take.
That's the point.
They would take.
Yeah, but if you are vaccinated, most likely you won't end up in hospital. That's
most likely. But what about the poor people who still do?
Well, there's still a percentage of.
Well, mate, they didn't get the real vaccination. Like in India, they got water, mate.
They could inject it with
the placebo.
Okay, all right. So the stick. One last question before we let you go. Joe Biden, out of 10.
Fuck Joe Biden.
Well, I think it's a significant improvement factor based on the previous one.
You're blaming somebody else, Geoff. Is that what we're doing here?
No, well, I think he's much better than what we had before.
I can tell by the way he left all those people.
Trump was very divisive.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think that's where some of the problems that we have here today. That we're so divisive on our state borders. We're divisive on our control mechanisms. We're divisive in our communication. And I think that's where they're very singular or focused only on themselves. They're not focused on a bigger picture.
So it's okay that he's left all those people in
Oh,
Afghanistan.
you still haven't rated him. Joe Biden out of 10. 10 being like he's a god.
Look, no, he's about a 7.
He's about 7. The stick
You're not allowed to say 7.
gave Joe Biden a 7.
Well, what's a 7? 8 is good, 6 is bad, 7 is nothing. What would you say if you're not allowed to say 7?
If you,
Hey! You can't question the guys. You can't question the stick. The stick gave us the number. That's it. The stick said 7. Next week we will ask the stick about somebody else. But
love those rules
between you
that you
and they're not listening. So between you and me, they're not listening. What would you rate Cam versus Biden? Above 7 or below?
I'd rate him the same as Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, Stick. We talk to you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh well, listen, the stick never lies. We know that. Okay.
Sid borrowed the same fence paling that Kristen Ole's been sitting
The
on.
stick, listen, the stick never lies.
Mr. Wilson, that's an old one to come and do. Yeah, no.
Listen, you need to be positive about this, Cameron, because the only way is up from here. When the stick gives you a rating equal to Donald Trump, you can only go up from here.
Mate, at least your outlook is you can be Prime Minister.
Listen. Oh,
Meg, can I just ask you, because you, being the opposite sex, do you think it is harder for women right now to be at home with their husband? Or?
If you're Crystal Wilson, it is.
We're gonna get Facebook going on fire right now, but
she's our top fan, baby. She knows how hard it is to be with the big dog.
Cameron doesn't need a crystal ball. He's just got a crystal.
yeah.
Well,
I think that you being married to Crystal, listen, you won the lottery, but I think that somewhere she lost or she's paying for
Oh, absolutely.
the previous life.
This is a part where you've got to look deeper into people's issues. Why do they need help? What things have they things have they done in the past?
It's exactly what we just read, right? In Jordan Peterson.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Alain de Botton said, you always end up in life marrying the wrong person.
Yeah, well, hey, well done.
But in your case, even though it's wrong, you won the lottery, man.
In business as in life, my friend.
All right, going back to Megan. Do you think it is easier because now ladies can actually get to know their men and therefore they actually can access more that feminine side of theirs? And
Nah. No. Well, the thing is, like, we're both still working, and then golf is still apparently an essential reason.
Yeah.
So I'm probably seeing less of my husband at the moment than more.
Lucky him. Lucky you.
It's probably a very good thing, I've got to be honest. But I do know from like people that I've been speaking to that have had their husbands at home and stuff have said it's pretty challenging because they're not used to being around each other so much. And then if the kids are there as well, like on day in, day out, they're learning a whole new way of living because they're so used to getting up, getting ready, going to work, dropping the kids off to school, coming home, and then there's, soccer training, netball training, dancing, there's, dinners with friends, there's catching up on the weekend, there's all the stuff that we would normally do. So it's like before it was probably more of a passing kind of a thing where you see each other and it's a hi and a bye and you do bits and pieces together. Whereas over the last 8 or however many weeks, 9 weeks it's been, they're literally doing like every single thing with each other. And one of the girls from work posted in our in one of our chats, and it was like, when I married my husband, I didn't realize that he breathed so annoyingly or something like that. Like I can't remember the exact wording, but it was like, it just made me laugh so hard because it was like, yeah, it was just so real. Like, I don't think it's one gender or the other has it harder. At the moment.
Hopefully our wives are not really watching this, but are there any days when you want to kill your husband?
Didn't need lockdown for that.
On a serious note with this topic, as a real estate agent, I've never been out to more divorces than I've ever been out to since lockdown was announced 2 years ago.
Yeah. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think it is because when you get married,
they breathe so annoyingly. Clearly,
you don't marry when you get married to someone, you expect life to be the way it is with a few variances, but you never marry someone expecting to spend 24 hours a day with people. And when you spend 24 hours a day with someone, things are going to get on your nerves. So on a positive outlook, I think it's important that people listening who are getting fed up with their spouses to realize that this isn't the way it was meant to be. And maybe you're just feeling that way because you're spending 24 hours with someone as opposed to two. Like it's not a small difference. Like if I look at my work life with my kids and my wife, I'm used to seeing, I see my kids for half an hour a day, if that.
Yeah.
Right. They go to bed at 7 o'clock. So if I'm home after 7 o'clock, gone. My wife, I see when I wake up and when I go to bed. And if she's not already in bed, then that's time. So it's underestimated the effect of people spending so much time with each other, but the awareness needs to be created that, hang on, maybe I'm feeling a bit frustrated because of this. And then you can come up with ways to overcome it. You can't just jump straight to DEFCON 5 and say, righto, the marriage is over, and righto, this is it. I can't be friends with this person anymore. It's just that you've been forced into spending more time with someone that you weren't used to.
A stranger.
Well, in some cases, if we're used to seeing someone for, like, even when we're courting, like when you're dating somebody, you see them for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean, I saw photos of you and with Crystal when you were dating, and you were half the size. She's probably going like
half the size. I ate the bloke.
Where is he? Is he hiding behind this wall? I mean, no, I get it, but
I ate the bloke. I ate the bloke that he was dating.
so hey, listen.
Three of his mates.
Okay, so now let's reverse the question, boys. You ever felt like killing your wife?
Not killing.
Then what?
Just disabling.
You know what? This is the way I look at it.
Just taking one leg out so she stays in the kitchen where she should be.
You're a brave man, Wilson. You're a brave man.
I hope she comes behind you in a minute.
Listen, man. Listen, Cam, you're gonna have to really think, man. After this podcast, you're going back to your normal life. You understand?
You're in lockdown, mate.
No, we've taken. Listen.
You need way more than the course in the
I'm safe because we're taking the smoke detectors out of the roof, so we're good. We're okay. Anytime Crystal's cooking, I'm safe.
Chris, you were about to say something from the heart, so go.
Yeah, look, I think if your marriage is in trouble now, it was in trouble before. I honestly think, for myself, my marriage has never been stronger through COVID. We've had more time to talk, sort of connect a little bit better. We're taking walks one-on-one, for coffee and so forth. I honestly believe if you, like we said, if we're not working on our business, if we're not working on ourselves, our mindset, it comes down to our relationships as well. If you're in trouble now, you're in trouble before. It's just amplified it. If you're good before, you're good now. It's just amplified it. And I think you need to take advantage of that.
It's a big call, Chris O, because chapter 3 says if you realise you're in trouble before, then you need to do something about it. So,
Cameron, listen, you're going to have to understand this about this podcast. Right?
Yes,
what we're doing is fun. I just read the comment, dead man talking. That is not funny.
I didn't write that.
No, it's not. It's not you. It's your wife. It's your wife writing this. Meaning, go light on this shit, because this shit does not matter. What happens after this, it will matter a lot.
I've saved her a couple of glasses. We'll be good. We'll be all right.
Make sure you pass the glasses under the door before you get out.
No, look, I think it's important, guys, because it's not about me and the jokes with my wife and our wives, but
this is, have a look at the salesman recovering here. The jokes with my
no, it's not.
How good that is. Such well-positioned sales line.
I've been out to way too many divorces to sell their houses. Way too many.
Who's going to sell your house?
People my age, people older, people younger.
Cam, I think those are people had issues before COVID.
100%.
And they've been amplified before this, mate. If your marriage was strong before this, I think it's strong now. I think if it's got issues now, you had issues before. And I honestly believe that, mate.
Yeah, but issues are
I like that. I like that line. I like that line because my wife keeps on complaining that he snore more and more, and now I'm gonna use that line. I was snoring before COVID. Don't use that shit on me. That doesn't work. It was there.
The problems are undoubtedly there, but the willingness to work on them might not have been.
And that's a problem. That's a totally different conversation.
No, it's not a different conversation, mate, because it's marriages in lockdown, it's relationships in lockdown.
No, but what I'm saying to each
other, when you're only seeing
what I'm saying to you is, mate, is people willing to work through those issues and not just go, divorce is fucking easy. Let's just do divorce.
Mate, I've been trying to work out issues with hanging out with you, and it's becoming harder and harder since the podcast went from fortnightly to weekly. I'm just going to say, right? So it's the same thing. Everything is magnified because we've been forced into a situation where we're hanging out with people for a lot longer than we ever dealt with.
Communication's the key, mate. If they're having issues in their marriage, they need to talk to each other, not just waiting till it gets to a point where this volcano is going to erupt and go, fucking, that's it, the relationship's over. You need to be talking to before that. Anyway, look, that's what I'm saying, but I don't disagree with you. The fact that COVID's...
Guys, we're coming close to the end, and I think, Cam, that there's a little bit of upselling you need to do because I'm reading the comment. It's not looking good.
Okay.
So you need to use the next 5 minutes to say a lot of good shit about,
All right. You've got
nothing to do with my marriage.
Crystal, go.
I'm very happy in my marriage and the way that I don't care if the smoke detectors go off because I know I'm getting a nice charcoaly flavour with my steak. Because you've got to understand that to cook a steak properly, you need to sear it to the start till it smokes, and then you just cook the middle slowly. So I understand that. What I hope for as a humanity, what I hope for as a humanity, that we're more aware of the fact that we might be more frustrated with somebody is because we're hanging out with them more than we ever planned to when we married. No, I'm not talking about my marriage. My wife is glad that she's got a stud like me. A stud like me. Nothing's changed since the time we got married. I got tattoos and all. And I'm glad we removed the smoke detectors from my house because the emergency services have nothing better.
It's not so loud anymore.
Then it's not so loud. I'd love to eat my dinner. I'd just love to eat my dinner without the bloody RFS turning up at my doorstep. But that's okay. That's okay because we're in COVID and we're in lockdown. These are the things that happen. All right.
Crystal can come to my house anytime she likes, and she can cook me whatever she likes for dinner, and I won't even complain.
Because you haven't got smoke detectors, you'll be fine. All right.
I still love it.
Hey, listen, he's lying. All right, I've been to his place many times. Never ever have I heard the smoke detector doing anything.
It's because we took him out.
He's a liar. Okay? So this proves it to me that most anti-vaxxers will tell you a lot of crap in order to improve their point. Okay? They will just concoct any kind of story in order to make you believe whatever it takes. Yes, Mick.
Cam isn't an anti-vaxxer. Cam just doesn't know enough about the vaccine. That's all.
No, Cam told me the other day that he's very scared that ScoMo would know exactly where he's at and where everything he's doing because it's actually
all that metal in his body and that
it's a chip that they're putting through the blood.
I'm not anti-vaccine. I've taken a lot of vaccines. I'm anti the way that we're not going to be able to leave our front door without it. That's what I'm anti.
All right. Girls, boys, what a great week. I always love talking to you. You guys kill my COVID. Thank you very much. Talk soon. Hey, actually, before you go, remember, next week, it's our Keys Wines. Right?
Yes.
K-I-E-S Wines, yes. And also, actually, Megan, before we leave, you have arranged for a winemaker to join us at some stage.
Yeah, So we've got a winemaker. He'll be joining us. Not
Yeah,
next
I heard he's half Belgian, so he's only half good.
and half
But the
French.
other half is French. That's gonna really that's not so good. So the half Belgian. I want him to turn up with the full Belgian. All right, not the French side.
I'll let him know.
He's a winemaker.
Yep, he's a winemaker by trade. He's worked at a lot of big wineries. So what he used to do was basically like follow the winemaking season. So he'd do like 3 months in the Hunter Valley, and then he'd do 3 months in France. I can't remember the other places that he did. He did tell me, but basically like 12 months of the year, he'd just travel around and do winemaking. So he's worked at like small boutique wineries. He's worked at massive production wineries. And yeah, he's going to join us. We're going to do reds. So we'll do two.
We're gonna do. Is that what you like? Is that your favorite wine?
No, she's a Moscato drinker.
No. I'm asking you. Out of the white or red, which one do you prefer? Because he can still change his mind.
I used to always prefer white. I would say at the moment I'm swaying more towards the red.
No.
Okay. All right then. Megan, you tell him. You tell him this. J'adore mon rouge.
Oh shit! All right.
Say it again.
I said to you before to try and teach you some French words, and you said
You
no.
say j'adore mon rouge.
J'adore mon rouge.
That's it. Just say that to him. J'adore. I adore my red. Okay. Or I love. Right. So j'adore mon rouge.
J'adore mon rouge.
Yes. Yeah. J'adore mon rouge. Okay.
Rouge. Got it. Okay.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Love you so much. The best people in this COVID lockdown time. Can't wait for lockdown to finish. I can get rid of Wilson. Talk to you soon.